Okay, welcome to the latest in the saga that is this Project 4 text-based adventure game. So, I had the game up and running. It was working, fine, up until the point I was able to take objects, drop objects, and, just go around. It worked, and then I started, now that I got past that hurdle, I started going into the code where I got into the great room and I tried to open a door, take a key, open a door, and stuff. And we ended up failing on that, and the code crashed again. In a similar spot, it had been crashing all along, which was in the describe game objects method. It kept crashing there as well, so it's clearly had to do still with the fact that I have, dangling pointers and memory allocation issues. And so looking into it, the most likely cause is again still just doing with pointers and not removing things properly. So when I take and drop items from a list, from my inventories, whether it's the locations inventory or my characters inventory, I'm not removing the items properly. Meaning I'm not, deleting the object and nulling out the pointer. So I'm trying to work on that. Looking on Stack Overflow and, just Google, I found this, I've tweaked it slightly, but basically code, and I've added Doxygen style comments that thankfully, for the most part, are kind of auto written for you using the IDE. But, you have to tweak them somewhat. But anyway, so I've created this safe remove header file, which basically, you can read the Doxygen comments. But at the end of the day, it just does a safe remove by, first of all, checking if the object, which is the game object pointer, that got passed in as a second parameter, if it's already null, then just exit right away. So don't bother doing the rest of the stuff. Otherwise, we're going to follow a common erase remove idiom in C++, using, this says remove if. I actually decided to go with remove. So remove if, when I was looking online, the difference between remove if and remove are very similar. Remove if kind of allows you to do some more customized stuff, but at the end of the day, I just want to remove this and then erase it. And I get that's the common idiom with C++. And I keep saying remove here. Remove if. This should just be remove. That's what I decided to go with. But yeah, the remove function reorders the vector, moving the elements that are to be removed to the end. But it's erase that actually removes them from the vector. So when you first call the remove method, right here, that is actually, iterating all the way through the objects, which is the vector of game object pointers that got passed in. So I'm iterating from the beginning to the end, looking for something that matches the value of the game object pointer that got passed in. And then I assign that to this iterator. And you can see this is an iterator of type game object of type pointer. So that's what I'm doing. I'm assigning that iterator, and then I'm checking as long as the iterator is not equal to objects.end, meaning as long as it was found, this actually object is there, then I'm going to erase it. So the remove is simply moving the objects to the end, if they're found, and then I will actually do the erasing by calling the erase method, and remove from the vector. And then this is if deletion is requested and the object was dynamically allocated, delete it, which is a Boolean that I'll pass in, which is defaulted to true. And that's just, again, if I've dynamically allocated memory using the new operator, right, then I need to delete it. Because, again, I'm not using smart pointers here, which, again, I should go back to, but at this point, I've got no time left to change everything. I'm just trying to, fix this up. So, in which case, I delete the object, which frees up the memory, but then I also null out the pointer to prevent dangling pointer issues. So that's the header file I created based on my, Google and Stack Overflow searches and recommendations. Then I went to compile that code, adding in the new header file for safe remove, ensuring that I added that, along with the door.cpp file. I ended up just separating the door header file and the door class, which was always in the header file before. When I noticed it, I just included it in a CPP file. I separated it as per good programming practice. But when I went to compile the code, I got all these errors, and it's been a while ago now that it seems since these errors happened, probably a week ago, but I got all these multiple definition errors. Multiple definition of whatever, right? And then over and over, multiple definition. And that's because I didn't have, I just have a header file for the safe remove and not a CPP file. So basically, anywhere that this header file gets included, it re-declares these methods. The way to prevent that is obviously to separate your interface from your implementation, having a header file and a CPP file. And I was going to do that, but then I decided it's a single function in this header file, so I just put the inline keyword there, which prevented the multiple definition errors. And you can see that here because after I did that, all I did was add the keyword inline, recompiled it, saved it, and recompiled the code and ran it again. Then it started to work, because you can see I got my printouts. Well, I basically... Oh, actually, I see what's going on here. It might not even be that there's an error. File not found, file not found, file not found, file not found. Oh, never mind. You know what? The code might still work now. I'll find out. I was thinking that after I just added the safe remove function, header file, to my class, to my project rather, and then compiled the code, and I had all these errors. I'm like, okay, well, that's because I didn't separate my safe remove into an interface and implementation, i.e. header file and a implementation file. So then I solved that issue by adding the inline keyword, and then I still got issues here. And I didn't read it closely. I thought this was saying file found. I thought these were my debugging printouts, in which case I was like, okay, my code started running because I'm seeing, my file names. I thought these were debugging printouts up until just now, a second ago, just realizing. And I thought that I was getting an out of range error, and I thought there was still an issue with the code, which there probably is, to be honest. But I just realized why I'm getting these. This is not a debug printout. This is actually in the body of the code. If you try to access a file that is not there, I literally in the body of my code, I print out an error message, hey, file not found. I throw an exception, and that's what I print out to the screen instead of having the program terminate. And then my code actually might be working. So let me just check. And the reason this is the case is because I've got the .. before the file name, which is something that CLine IDE requires, but right now I'm not running through CLine IDE. That's why this isn't running. I'm deciding to run through the terminal, which works just like Windows command prompt. So let me try this again. So I'm going to go back to my game object list. I'm going to on-comment my safe remove because I want to see if that works. Comment my... Oh, correction. I want to, comment out the previous code I had in here. This was my previous line of code, which was causing the issue in the first place, presumably. And now I'm not going to run through here. I'm actually just going to save everything. I'm going to reload the makefile too. I occasionally just feel that this works best if I reset everything, rerun it. Loading CMake project. And now I'm going to run via the CLine IDE. Now I'm going to shut off the video because if I don't, a lot of times when I run the IDE, the processing power required shuts off my video recording just because I have an old computer and that's what does. So I'm going to shut it off and I'll immediately come back and follow it up.